Welcome to another edition of Showtime with Coop, insightful BS with my Laker teammates and NBA legends. And you know what, Aria, I really do mean this. There are players that I truly enjoyed playing against and players that I hated playing against. Larry was kind of caught in the middle for me. I hated his ass, but I also loved him because of the way he played. Everybody welcome Larry Nance. Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We hate each other because we both competed, and
Yep.
anytime you compete, you ain't somebody competing hard against you, you ain't gonna love them. That's for sure. But that was good basketball.
Hey, Larry, three-time NBA All-Star, NBA All-Defensive First Team. I think they got that wrong, but you're still on the list. NBA Defensive First Team. You did block a lot of shots. Two-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team. NBA Slam Dunk champion in '84. We're going to talk about that in a second. Number 22 retired by the Cavaliers. I don't even have my high school number retired, man. And second team ACC. Larry Nance, how does it feel, Larry, that, and we'll get into this a little bit more, how does it feel for your son to make more money than you did and you were the better player, I think?
Well, at this point, it doesn't matter. It's funny. I'm sitting in this nice truck right now because I usually love to go in my truck where it's nice and quiet. But he bought me a new GMC truck, dude. So I can't
Right.
complain about nothing that kid do. I mean, he's I'm not sure who the better player is because he's a little different than me. His defense and court awareness and the name of the way that he played the game is a little different. But no jealousy here. I'm proud of him for sure.
No, Larry,
Proud
that's,
dad.
I say that in jest and having fun. Larry, tell us about your early years growing up. Who are some of your role
Well, I
models?
grew up in, huh?
Who were
Ask me
some of your
again.
role models as an early player?
Okay, I grew up in a little small town in Anderson, South Carolina, where we had just a big family of uncles and cousins, and all of them great athletes. And my uncle Bobby turned out to be my kind of my favorite uncle because he always uh, played with me and always taught me stuff. I mean, that's how I learned how to block shots with my left hand because of him. But as I got older, Dr. J was my favorite man. I mean, that's who I was in my backyard all the time, Dr. J, as well as many other people. And he was just my favorite guy, and that's who I tried to pattern my game after until, like you say, until we had to play against each other, and then we didn't get along too good because he was trying to take a win away from me. But that's kind of my background in a fast way.
Larry, as you were going through basketball, and I tell people this all the time about me, basketball was a vehicle for me to get an education. My family, I'm like you, from a pretty big family. My family didn't have money to send me to college. So was basketball always the ends to the means for you, or was it something that you enjoyed? I mean, loved doing because you thought you were going to be good?
Well, it's funny how you asked me that, and making the NBA and going to college was never a goal of mine. My dad was a mechanic. He worked on cars, and my dad drove trucks. And I just assumed that's what I was going to do. But along with assuming that, I loved to play basketball and played all the time, every day. And I was just fortunate enough that I went to a trade school to be a mechanic. And my coach from Clemson just happened to see me because Anderson Junior College offered me a scholarship because they came and watched us play. And we scrimmaged Clemson, and the coach just seen me and offered me a scholarship, and that's how I end up at Clemson. It wasn't like a whole lot of teams was recruiting me. I just loved the game with no purpose in mind other than just playing and loving it, and I ended up in the NBA somehow, and that's truly how it happened. It never was a goal of mine. Neither one of them was.
Well, you know what? You went to Clemson, had a great career. You guys finished in the Elite Eight. And then you become the 20th pick in the first round to the Phoenix Suns. What was that like for you?
It was just awesome. Again, when my coach at Clemson told me, "Man, you got some agents calling asking about you," I'm like, "Dang, that's pretty neat." And then all of a sudden, I got I got invited to Portsmouth, and that's when my name really jumped out there because I became MVP of the Portsmouth tournament, and then the NBA scouts began to know about me, and then getting picked by Phoenix was just was just the best thing. And I had to get the map out to see what Phoenix was. And, you know, and went out there and played. But, you know, one thing I was going to do, I'm just like you, Coop. No matter where you put me, I'm going to compete. And I went to Phoenix and got better and competed and yeah, turned into a basketball player that just loved the game.
So how do you go from being a guy that you don't know if you can play at the collegiate level or never aspired to, nor thought about the NBA? How do you go from that to actually having it happen?
Well, the one thing is my work ethic. I mean, you know, going against my cousins and my uncles, I was the tail end of that whole group of they beating the crap out of me. So they prepared me for anything I ran into. I mean, I truly had great athletes in my family. And then one thing that they always told me, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it 100% and you're going to compete. And once I got a taste of the NBA and seen what I had to go against, one of the rules I always have, and I always tell my kids is you have to improve something every year, no matter how long you're in the league. And I just continue to do that, and I continue to get stronger and better. And you know, had great coaches and great teammates, and just had great surrounding cast around me.
Larry, you know what? Like again, this is kind of like going backwards, but it fits to what you're saying right now. 3 things that your family or the people that supported you, 3 things that they would tell you, because we have a lot of young listeners on here. 3 things that they told you that you still use today and use as a father.
Well, I always tell my kids, always try to be a good person. I mean, my mom beat the crap out of me if she know I did anybody wrong. And then and my uncles always told me, if you're going to play something, you're going to compete, and you're going to give 100%. And those things, to this day, is when I'm proud about Larry Jr. That's one thing. When he's on the court, he's competing. He don't mean you're going to always have a good game, but you got to compete. And again, like I say, be a good person, and everything else will kind of take care of itself.
You're listening to Showtime with Coop. We have Larry Nance in the house. Larry, we're at the point of the show where we have what I call Coop's lightning round. I'm going to give you 5 names, and you tell me as much or as little about those people, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. The first one, John McLeod.
I love him. I mean, he was the first coach that I had in the NBA, and you know, he would tell me my weaknesses, and he always put me in great positions to be successful. And yeah, I love Coach McLeod.
Alvin Adams.
Alvin Adams, that's my favorite center. That's the one that put me on the map with the alley hoops. I mean, I did some of that stuff at Clemson, but Alvin, if I went back door, he was going to throw me the ball. I mean, he was a small center, but I love Alvin Adams. He was very good for who he was.
And you know what? I say this about, I'm using these older players because kids today forget about these guys. Alvin Adams was a solid player, man. Undersized, but he got the most out of his size.
Undersized, but those big centers hate guarding him because Adam always could run. He was always in shape, could run the floor, and he could knock down that jumper. So Alvin was a good center.
Cotton Fitzsimmons.
No, I mean, I didn't.
You didn't? Was he a coach? Did you?
No, Cotton didn't coach me. So
okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't around Cotton much, but I know who you're talking about. But he had not much to do with my career.
He's a mean little motherfucker, but that's another story. Anyway, Walter Davis.
Oh boy, Walter Davis is one of the best people, dude, that nobody talk about. That, I mean, I seen Walter Davis and David Thompson score 40-something apiece, and it's a shame that Walter went through that whole little drug thing, because Walter Davis was one of the best players in the NBA, man. And you know how he could play. He could jump this high off the ground and shoot that jumper. And once he got hot, there's not much you could do.
Nothing you could do, man. I mean, they had, what was his nickname? The Greyhound? Walter
the
could
Greyhound.
play, man. A lot of people don't, they're missing the boat on that young man.
They're missing the boat big time on Walt.
Mark Price.
Mark Price, that's my point guard when I came here, which he's one of my favorite people because of the way he play. Mark is not flashy, but he's very efficient. And when I talk to guards and when I talk to people about playing point guard, I tell him about Mark Price because whatever he's going to do, he don't jerk around, go between his legs 1,000 times. He just one move and go do what he's got to do. And that's one of the best shooters I ever seen. Obviously, he was a great free throw shooter. And that's one of the guys I copied his free throws. And that's when I started shooting in the 80%. So, but yeah, great teammate. Anytime we have conversation about guards, I always let everybody have who they want and say, I'll just take Mark Price and I'm good.
Exactly. I don't say compare him, but would he rival Steph Curry the way he could shoot the ball from the perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, he'll be the closest one. How about that?
Yeah.
If anybody, if somebody say you got Steph Curry and you got to try to win, who you going to get? I would pick Mark Price 100% of the time.
Wow. How about Lenny Wilkins?
No doubt in my mind. I mean, he give me the best chance of winning by picking him for sure. That's my point guard there.
I'm going to add a name here. Lenny Wilkins.
That is the smartest, best coach I ever been around. I mean, Coach McLeod got my feet wet and was a great person, but Lenny everybody needs to be coached by Lenny Wilkins because he would call timeout and tell you what to do or draw up a play. You're always going to get up a good shot. And he never at no point showed stress during the game. He was always calm. He always expect the best out of you. And he would just tell you, this is what I expect of you. If you're not going to do it, then you're just not going to play. And no reason to yell at you or do anything like that. Just one smart man, and also was a great basketball player too. But that is the smartest, most fun I ever had being around a coach because his knowledge is second to none.
We have Larry Nance in the house here on Showtime with Coop. Larry, I'm gonna say this: in 1984, and as I read out your accolades, you won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, and I believe it was in Denver, right?
Yep.
We were in Denver. Okay. Larry, I want you to know, as I was preparing for that, because I was in that slam dunk contest with you, along with Dr. J, and David Thompson, to name a few.
Wow. That's a legendary group right there.
But all right, this is the thing. I had looked at everybody. I knew Doc was going to do what Doc did. I knew David was going to do, but the only one I was a little concerned about was Larry Nance, because I knew Larry was long and he could jump. Larry Nance is responsible for me missing all my dunks in the dunk contest.
What's that?
Because I was trying to do things that I really couldn't do, but I knew Larry was going to come with something spectacular. So, Larry, I want you to own up to that. What was your thoughts about the 84 dunk contest?
But Coop, it's funny. I mean, I know you're not going to let me off the phone. I know you're not going to let me off this Zoom without talking about when you thought you blocked my shot. But anyway, it's funny. They asked you before the contest who you thought was going to win, and you picked me. I want to ask you about that because out of all those people that was in it, you picked me, and I'm like, Coop picked me? I'm like, well, shit, I got to win.
Well,
I mean,
you know what, Larry, thing about, I knew Doc was up in age now. He was kind of toward the end. So Doc was still a high flyer though. David was kind of like up in age too. So I said, okay, the one that probably is going to be more creative, more artistic with his dunks is going to be Larry. And I mean, the one that impressed me was that you dunked two balls at once. That was exciting. But the one where you kind of like cradled it and went by the basket and reached back and dunked, those are the dunks. And I tried that and I missed mine. But that was right there is what would impress me. And that was the thing I was scared about as we pull up your slam dunk right here. That was some fun time, man, 84.
Man, that was some fun times. But I'm always about winning and everything. But I just wish if I could do that over, this would be the first time I admit that I wouldn't have mind losing. I think Doc should have won because it was just set up perfect for him to win that slam dunk contest. And it makes history really good if he wins. But knowing me, I have to get out there and try to do my thing too. And I actually wanted to buy a 67 Camaro, that I had seen in Phoenix. So that's why I needed the money, because I wanted to buy this car. You know how much I love cars. So, but you know, to this day, it would have been cool if Doc won, but I'm gonna always compete and do my best, just like you are. You know that.
And I
And
think
Doc,
that was the key word there is you competed. And when you compete, you're gonna do good things. Go ahead, Ari.
did Doc say anything to you throughout that competition that you remember?
No, not much. He congratulated me when I won, but I think he ended up missing a dunk though, and I think if he didn't miss, he probably would have won, because I didn't miss any. And then after Doc missed that one, I did a really simple dunk and just to get more points than him. But if he didn't miss that dunk, I'm pretty sure he would have won it. And
Wow.
we've talked a little bit since then, and he's still my favorite basketball player
What?
I've had.
Why do you think the dunk contest now isn't close to what it was back in the 80s and 90s?
Well, how many dunks can you do? I mean,
Right.
you know, from year to year, it's only a certain amount of stuff you can do. But man, we had some nice athletes back then. There's athletes everywhere now. I think it's more athletes now, but I think our prime athletes back then was a little bit better. And
Yeah.
Wow.
so,
Well, Larry, you talk about making well. I just would love to have made a dunk, but I didn't. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. You got Larry Nance in the house. Larry, a couple more
Just every
questions
dunk,
for you.
Coop, every one.
Just every dunk.
You just go for like a regular, just like.
I tried. I was too hyped
hey,
up,
Coop was
man.
there to
I
have
knew-
fun and talk shit. But yeah, that's him though.
That anyway. Larry, your thoughts on the NBA today?
100%.
I'm not a fan of analytics. I'm not a fan of a lot of 3-pointers. So I'm hoping, obviously I couldn't shoot them. So therefore I would be on the bench now if I was playing. But I'm hoping that some team have some success with some more bigs, like the Cavaliers right now. They got 3 bigs, and they're Jared Allen is out, so they're losing. If they start losing some games. But that's a really good team that's coming back toward the bigs, and I'm hoping some team have success with them, because I would like to see a lot more of that come back toward the game instead of everybody just standing around that 3-point line shooting threes.
Hey, and you know what, Larry, the Lakers, when they won their championship, even though it was in the bubble, they had JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and Anthony Davis. And that was the key to winning. So I'm with you about that. I think the big man game is lost because when we played, it was inside out. And now it's outside, and maybe a little bit of inside.
Right.
Right. That's how it was. I mean, you guys had that wonderful, that beautiful shot that Kareem used to shoot, that sky hook. You go inside first, you make them double team, and then you throw it out, and then they shoot a wide open threes. That's the way I like to play. That's when I was here. We did that with Brad Daugherty. We would post Brad up, inside, double team, out. And then we did me like that some. And to me, that's good basketball. And I'm not sure. I don't know whether analytics came in and messed that whole thing up, but I'm not sure, because the threes they're scoring at the end of the day, I'm not sure they're scoring more points than we did. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not sure, because they're shooting more threes, that it ends up being more points.
Larry, what rule in
So
the
that'd be
league
something we could look up.
what rule would you change in the league if you had the powers to do that?
Well, one thing I can't stand is when these guys pump fake, and then the guy get the guy in the air, and then they could jump into him and throw the ball up, and they get a foul. So that right there really bothers me a lot. And other than that,
That's
it ain't
probably
that
the only
bad.
one. Okay.
That's the one that bothered me the most, is when they do that.
Larry, you have a granddaughter. Congratulations, man.
Ooh.
What do they call you? They call you Pop. What's your grandpa's name?
So I don't have one yet, because her first year is going to be April 19th.
Uh-huh.
But I tell her, and I'm on your show, I'm gonna tell you the truth of everything. I tell her to call me Black Grandpa. So that's what I told her that she's gonna call me. So she don't know that yet, but we'll see if I can pull that off.
No, it's gonna be something like Papa or Popo or something kind of childish like that you're gonna love. Whatever she calls you, you're gonna love. Larry,
Yeah,
what do you got?
whatever she called me, I'm gonna love. I think that baby, man, I'm so happy to have that baby. I told Larry them, I told my other kids, if we'd had that grandbaby first, we never would have had them.
So Larry, what do you have going on in your life right now? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, just my grandbaby, watching my kids. I have Pete, my son, my youngest son, is senior at Northwestern this year. He had a decent year. They didn't make the tournament, but he's coming out. He's the tallest one of all of us, and he's a little different from me and Larry, where he's 6'11", and well, I don't even want to use the word, but I mean, he's nowhere near magic, but he can handle the ball and see. But and he's a little different from me and Larry, the way he can shoot, handle, dribble, and really shoot. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the NBA think of him. And I think hopefully he will have a good little chance of making it to some team.
Wow. My son, Larry, and I hear what you're saying. My youngest is 6'5", and at Crossroads, he is such a better ball handler than I, and no, seriously, being able to get to the basket. I was just a fundamental sound player, just get the ball to the court. This kid can play. So I hear what you're saying. So Larry, listen,
It's so much fun. Cool. I don't want to cut you off, but isn't it so much fun watching your kids?
It is.
I mean, nothing make you prouder than when they don't always have to have a good game, but when they do, I have more fun watching my kids practice than I did when I played. It's just nothing better than watching your kids do something good.
And Larry, you know what? There's no pressure on me. You know how some parents live through their kids and they got to do it. I sit and I actually enjoy watching them. So I really hear what you're saying.
Do you guys see parents making mistakes in that regard? Like I have 2 young boys, so they're just getting started in sports. But do you see parents making mistakes like that with their kids, like trying to live through them or whatever, relive their glory days in sports?
I think I do. I see parents like, they put their kid on a team and they think their kid should maybe get all the shots or get all the glory position. I used to tell Larry, it's like, dude, if you're not getting shots, they're not making them all. Go get it off the glass. I mean, I can't. There's still always something you can do on the court, and but yeah, so parents do live through their kids, but they want stuff to be set up for their kids, and I'm not sure I'm quite that way. No, I just want them to compete, and then good things will happen.
And just have fun, okay? Listen, you listen to Showtime with Coop. We have Larry Nance, and Larry, you kind of said it before, and I'm not going to let you get off the show without it. All right, you want to pull up this clip and let's talk about it.
Oh, you got on film? All right.
Oh.
No, wait a minute. I don't see it. Cool. Okay. Oh, man, I loaded up, too. That ball had to slip out of my hand.
Larry.
That's what it was, Coop. It slipped.
Listen, Larry, I love you, man. I want to tell you both congratulations to you, man. Grandpa, I'm not a grandfather yet. I ask my kids, please don't make me that because I'm enjoying my life now. I chase my wife around the family when my son is gone, so I'm doing those kind of things. But Larry, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Really, really appreciate it. And you're right, it did roll down your wrist after I blocked it.
Hey, I don't know. I'm gonna make like I didn't hear that because the Coop I know would never admit that, dude. We always have a bond between us on that slam dunk. So I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear you say it roll down my hand, so we can always have this little fight between us. That's the only way it's gonna ever be.
Larry, I love you, man. Have a wonderful day, brother. Take care, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm glad you got a show, and I hope you do really good. So
thanks, Larry.
All right, thank you for having me. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, bye-bye.